Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, November 3rd, year of our Lord 2025. And my Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:14 and change. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because our president puts the American people first. A novel concept. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and one of his great companies, Eastern Roofing Systems, like William Eckroat of Wanami, Orazio, Pat Pasquale Calurso, Old Forge, Thomas Biter, Danville, the United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, irreplaceable, amazing founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right, granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, even if 60 Minutes over-edits in favor of a Democrat candidate. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because we had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth, America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. Yeah, this Bob Cordaro Show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And our commitment to common sense ensures that we will provide for the balance of this morning a sanctuary of sanity for you to enjoy in a world where an entire political party, the Democrat Party, their leadership has gone insane. Yeah. And where world leaders and establishment figures are trying to ruin your life to better theirs. So we gavel to order this meeting of the club, and we'll get it done, all right? You can bathe, you can luxuriate, or you can simply enjoy the sanctuary of sanity we provide. But it's all there for you. Yeah, that montage tells you everything you need to know. And it's, it's almost tiring to show what liars, hypocrites, and phonies the Democrat Party are. It's exhausting. I mean, there's Barack Obama. And they're cheering him on. Cheering him on. He will not bend. He will not let the Republican Congress negotiate by shutting the government down. And here they are today saying the exact opposite and lying about it. And then you have that dumb congresswoman who didn't even know what the hell she was talking about. She got sent out to the media with her talking points and didn't realize they were false. These are like people actually trying to lead the country. Frightening. Absolutely frightening. Well, we got Monday Musings today with John Perillo. He's going to talk a little bit about the redistricting, gerrymandering in Louisiana and how it affects what's happening. And then, of course, it's election day. So a couple of times today, I'm going to give you some thoughts on choices, obviously, depending on where you live. I'm going to look around here. I got to see if we have a sample ballot. We have such horrible newspaper that, it doesn't publish today. Like the day before election, you think they might make an exception, but the newspapers are so awful that we don't have it. But I will tell you, one of the races I'm really focused on, and we're hoping to talk to him today, Gene Barrett, independent candidate for mayor in the city of Scranton. We've got to get rid of this awful mayor. And she wants to use us as a platform to become a left-wing lunatic congressperson, which is her goal all along, was to get into national politics. She was desperately trying to get the, if the Kamala Biden crew won, to get some sort of major appointment in Washington. She's had enough. She was never interested in being the mayor, which is one of the reasons why she's been such an awful mayor. A friend of mine was driving through the city. Okay, he's a former Scrantonian. And his 7-year-old daughter, who had never lived here, she said, "Daddy, why are there so many holes in the roads?" It's just like she didn't get it. And what do you tell? Well, we have an awful mayor who doesn't do her job and never wanted the job except to go advance herself. And by the way, she doesn't live in Scranton either. So it's like, what? My word. Somebody said, "Don't worry, Bob. The local papers will have a sample ballot published on Wednesday." I know. That's about right. Whew. I don't know. So, yeah, Daddy, why are there so many holes in the roads? If that doesn't tell you got to vote for Gene Barrett, nothing does. Literally nothing. By the way, quickly, maybe I'll get into it a little bit later. I did wear the orange prison jumpsuit costume for the parties I went to, the Halloween parties Friday night. Yeah, I did. Oh, and then last night, we went with the Palucci's, and our friend Leah joined us as well. But we went to the Old Brook. Oh my! I can't even say how fabulous it was. I can't even describe it. It was so good, and everything was great. But I got this bone marrow combined with this is again, it's a selective taste. It was bone marrow and steak tartare combination. I mean, two of the things I love the most. It was unreal. And now Chauncey's enjoying the bone too. There's only so many bones he could have, and this bone is like you couldn't break it with a sledgehammer. But the Old Brook, just fabulous. I brag about these places. I'm not kidding you when I brag about these places. This was it's better every time I go. The Old Brook. It really is. Somebody said I gave Gene a vote on Friday and wish him and us luck. Yes, we need the luck. We need the luck. We had some people going away today, and they said they had voted for Gene. Some friends of mine, old friends of mine, were at the Old Brook, and I was like, yeah, man, we got to save the city. We'll take a break, though. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. A little music, a little history, and then we'll be back. 570-883-0098. Hey, Bulldog, you know we've got to play the Putin version of Blueberry Hill. Well, you know that. But Murph tells us Fats Domino had the number one R&B hit this date, 1956, with Blueberry Hill, which was popularized years later by Vladimir Putin. That's the one everybody knows. This is actually Vladimir Putin singing. See, even Vladimir Putin could take time off from being an evil dictator for a little bit of fun. Dear Lord. Oh. Bob LTS, somebody texted, I'm working the polls tomorrow. I'll let you know periodically the turnout. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, that's the problem, guys. That's the problem. We've got to vote no for the three Supreme Court justices. We've got to vote no for them. We've got to vote for Maria Batista. We've got to vote for Matt Wolford. Matt Wolford for Commonwealth Court. Maria Batista for Superior Court. I heard his commercial just now. Walter Griffith, if you're in Luzerne County, for Luzerne County Controller. Done a great job. And transparent as all hell. Let you know what's going on without fear or favor. Mayor in Scranton, if you're in Scranton, Gene Barrett. He's the only opposing candidate that can win. And it's important that we defeat this mayor. Mayor many names. By very credible reports, doesn't even live in the city. Somebody pointing out that they've got an absolute mess over on Maple Street in the south side. I've got a mess on North Webster Avenue in Scranton, in the hill section. It's crazy. I'm telling you. This is just an awful, awful mayor. And instead of paving the streets with the money that we were given, by the way, not an extra penny were we given compared to the rest of the country in the Biden buy your votes giveaway, which caused massive inflation. It's sad. So we got to get Gene Barrett in there. The city, we're dependent on it. We really are. We've got to win this race. And Lackawanna County Commissioner, we got to get Chet Murley in there because we've got to save Lackawanna County government from the boy king, Billy Gaughan. He's destroying it. And the only one that can change it is Chet Murley with Chris Chermak. It's the only way anything can change. Somebody say, Bob just tuned in, LTS. Thank you for always remembering our veterans on your show. Can you remind your listeners to vote not to retain? Vote no. They've got that great Music Man checking in on that point. They've got that great no commercial for the three Supreme Court justices. Disgraceful people. Disgraceful judges. Let's be more accurate. Yeah. Somebody said, when I lost my campaigns, wait, I lost it already as another trove of text came in. When I lost my campaigns and people insisted I was just upset I lost, I always replied, I can accept losing as a candidate. What hurts is losing as a constituent. Yeah. Again, people think you're running for yourself. And many most of the politicians I oppose are running for themselves. And a personal agenda like Mayor Cognetti in Scranton. And they don't care about the people or what they could do for them. That's why you get a seasoned veteran who's had military, private enterprise, and government experience like Gene Barrett, and you say, here's the guy. He's not out for anything. He's not looking to run for the next office. He's looking to do the job. That's refreshing. So, yeah, I agree with you there. But, yeah, vote no, 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 just like the Music Man says on these Supreme Court justices. They are awful, absolutely awful. And they're spending big-time left-wing money to try to keep their jobs, which they don't deserve. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to come back, and we're going to do our first Veterans Tribute of the show. And so much coming up. It's a Monday. We're back. It's Election Eve. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga and his first and his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. Headquartered in Jessup, they're one of the largest and they are the best commercial, institutional, and industrial roofing companies in the eastern United States. And guess what? Because they're headquartered in Jessup, they'll come to your house, your small building, and they'll roof it for you using all of that expertise. Eastern Roofing Systems. Bloomsburg American Legion has a stone out front that says, "What is a veteran?" I'm going to add to it just a little bit. It says a veteran whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, peacetime or wartime, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor. William Eckroat. He was just 62 when we lost him to cancer, October 22nd. He was surrounded by his family and friends in his final day at home, filled with love, exactly as he wanted it to be. Bill lived every moment of his life just that way. He fought his cancer fiercely for many years, all the while smiling, laughing, and taking care of people. Bill served in the United States Army for 4 years. Then he was a heavy equipment operator before an 11-year career as a corrections officer at State Correctional Facility in Dallas, retiring in 2011. Bill enjoyed long rides on his motorcycle. He loved to travel, build things. Most of all, he loved doing small acts of kindness and giving gifts to his friends and family. He's survived by a number of family members, including his 2 children, his 6 grandchildren, and so many others, and many, many friends. William Eckroat, our Veterans Tribute this hour, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker, our man. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower. He says it's going to get up to 60. He may be right because it's 51 outside the studio as I speak. Excuse me. Tonight, partly cloudy, 42. Tuesday, partly sunny and breezy, 57. Wednesday, morning sun, then cloudy with a chance of scattered showers in the afternoon, 60 degrees. So a pretty pleasant November forecast by our man Snedeker. Well, I told you how important this mayor's race is in Scranton. And my candidate is Gene Barrett. He's in the military. He served this country for years in the military. He's been in private industry. He's been in all levels of government. And he's running to be the mayor of Scranton. Isn't that novel? Well, it's not the case right now with the current incumbent. And here he is, our friend Gene Barrett. Gene, how are you?
Good morning, Bob. How you doing?
Well, you're used to some of these last-minute races to get votes and all of that and get organized. So I'm sure you're in the middle of all that.
Yeah, in the middle of all of that. Big effort to get ready for tomorrow. Organizing all the polls and who's going where and what needs to be covered the best and so on and so forth. So that's what we've been doing all weekend.
Well, Gene, how have you enjoyed the campaign? Every time I see you, you seem to be enjoying yourself. You're not. You're not like jumping up and down. That's not your style. But you seem to be enjoying it.
I am. I think it's an important time in the city's history. That's for darn sure. And I think the primary issue right now, I would hope in the voters' minds is should the mayor get reelected, Mayor Cognetti, she gets sworn in early January and sworn in at the front door of City Hall and walks in and turns around and walks out the back door to run for Congress.
I know.
So,
and she had the arrogance to announce it prior to this election. It was stunning.
And as time has gone on over the last several weeks, since shortly after Labor Day, when she did announce that she intended to run for Congress in 2026, then I think people now are the last couple of weeks. Those are the comments I'm getting back.
Yeah.
That you can't run for 2 jobs at once, and 8th congressional district consists of 5 counties, and there's just no way you can do it. You can't be a full-time mayor and have a full-time campaign for Congress.
Gene Barrett, it's absolutely stunning that someone would announce that they don't want to be the mayor when they're running for mayor. That's essentially what. And I mean, and this has been planned for over a year, and it becomes even more offensive. She lied that she said, "Oh, I just saw Rob Bresnahan's vote on whatever, and I had to run." She was already hired people.
She's been running. She set up a national network over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And when they read the campaign finance reports from back in May, it's obvious. It just jumps right off the page. Excuse the, but it just it's a bit of a contradiction in terms. I mean, I want to be your mayor, and oh, by the way, I'm going to run for Congress. So it's just almost an oxymoron. I don't know if.
Gene, I was telling the story of a friend of mine from out of town, and he brought his kids back to show them Scranton. And his 7-year-old, and this is not made up, his 7-year-old said, "Daddy," they're driving around Scranton. She said, "Daddy, why are there so many holes in the roads?"
Really? Yeah.
It was like an Art Linkletter moment, you know.
There you go. There you go. But I mean, this. The mayor didn't fall out of bed one morning and say, "Geez, I want to run for Congress." You know what's involved in that kind of an effort. It's a huge effort. So that's what she's been concentrating on. And so should she be reelected, then just like it's been for the last several years, there's going to be a de facto mayor. It's not going to be the person that the people voted for. And she's going to walk out the door and try to get elected to Congress. There's no way that she cannot do that. I mean, it's going to require all of her time and attention, and it's not going to be for the benefit of the voters of Scranton. It's going to be for the benefit of Paige Cognetti and no one else. And that's what it's been all about all along.
Without doubt. When she left school board, as soon as the going got rough and some tough decisions had to be made, she just vanished from the school board. She just vanished. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
When I talked to the board members that were on there at that time and interviewed her, she had committed to completing the full term of that vacancy, which she didn't do. She stayed several months, and then when things got a little rough, she skedaddled. She just left. But she did commit to staying, but she didn't.
And I, as a Scrantonian, have observed the deterioration, the increase in crime, the deterioration of our public facilities, the failure to even get a pool built at NAOG with boundless amounts of money, endless amounts of money provided by the federal government, and still couldn't get anything done. It's stunning.
Yeah, we've been out without the pool there at NAOG, which was always a key factor and one of the things that we had a reputation for of having that first-class facility for, I think, well over 5 years now at this point.
Yep.
And it's been under construction for approximately 8 months, and it's roughly 50% complete. But the opening is time for the spring of 2026, and that's how she has the plan.
Yeah, for Congress. Well, we wish you the best of luck, Gene Barrett.
Thank you.
You're getting my vote.
Thank you for your time.
And don't hesitate to call in tomorrow, just to let us know where you're at and what you're up to, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Gene Barrett,
thank you.
our candidate for mayor of the city of Scranton. He has to win for our sake. He really does, for all of the people in Scranton. And by the way, the impact goes far beyond that. It goes far beyond that. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us this date, 1957, Danny and the Juniors released their hit At the Hop. Not a bad song, huh? Right? And we're back. Bob Cordaro Show. I was talking to you about these judicial races and how important they are. And I told you about Maria Batista and Matt Walford. Matt Walford for Commonwealth Court, Maria Batista for Superior Court. And we've had them on a number of times. They're just outstanding candidates. And Matt is with us now as he continues his campaign for Commonwealth Court. How are you, Matthew?
I'm fine. How are you, Bob?
I'm great. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for voters to put you in this office and to make you our next Commonwealth Court judge.
Well, you've been very good about following my campaign, and I called in to express my thanks. And we just need to remind people that tomorrow's race is all about voter turnout. That's what it is. And so I've hit all 67 counties. Last week I was in my last county. It's Forest County. I was very proud. It's up not too far from Erie County, so it was easy to get to. But there's more deer than people in Forest County.
How about that?
And they're very proud of the fact that they don't have a traffic light in the entire county.
How neat is that? I mean, that's James Carville, he's a goof, but he had a good saying. He said, you've got Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Alabama in between, and I guess that's part of Alabama, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be quoting him for authoritative anything, but
I know.
He's getting crazier and crazier the older he gets. But
yes.
that was a funny line that he had. What I've noticed, throughout the Commonwealth, and I love Northeast Pennsylvania. I've really gotten to know it a lot better as a result of this campaign. And I've been to Wyoming County, and I was just in Luzerne County again recently, Lackawanna County, all the stuff that's around your area, and really, really terrific communities. And there are regional differences throughout Pennsylvania, and I like the vibe up in Northeast Pennsylvania. But everybody, to a person that I talk to, wants judges that respect the rule of law. And when we talk about that, that means upholding the Constitution, applying statutes as written, and not legislating from the bench. And one of the things that we talk about, you always want to kind of bring things down to a level where you have examples and you can talk about those things. So one of the examples that I've been talking about recently is, because it has been in the news several times, is these federal judges that tell the President of the United States that he can't fire people in the executive branch, which in my view is crazy. And they say, well, but that's an independent agency. So I go back and I look at the Constitution. I've read it once or twice. And, there's three branches. There's the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. I keep looking for that independent branch, and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, this is a simple exercise for these judges. All you got to do is, all right, so you got an agency. It's a government agency. Is it part of the judiciary? Well, no, it's not. Is it part of the legislature? Well, no, it's not. So that means it must be part of the executive branch. And last time I looked, the President of the United States is the chief executive. And so this idea that these judges can get outside their lane and tell the executive branch chief what he can and cannot do it doesn't help judges have a good reputation. It appears to be very partisan, and judges are not supposed to be partisan. And so this is a problem. We got this whole no thing tomorrow, and that's about partisan judges.
Yep.
So we just need to keep politics out of judicial chambers and out of judicial races entirely.
Well, Matt Wolfer, we need you on the Commonwealth Court because we need to be protected from overbearing government. And that's what Commonwealth Court does. When it gives redress to people who've got disputes with government in many, many cases. Yep.
So Supreme Court Justice Brobson, who used to be the president judge of the Commonwealth Court, kind of summarized in a way that people can understand the difference between Superior Court and Commonwealth Court. The Superior Court ensures that people follow the law, and the Commonwealth Court ensures that the government follows the law. And I think that's a good way of expressing it to help people understand the difference between those two courts.
Well, Matt Wolford, nobody has more experience in this area than you. No one's been more consistent. No one has a true judicial philosophy like you do. We need you for Commonwealth Court, and I hope you stay safe and strong on these last hours on the campaign trail.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed the time spent on this show. I will just remind people one more time, tomorrow's all about turnout. You know, everybody says nobody cares about judicial races until you're standing in front of a judge. And, you know, it's an off-year election. It's not an off-year election. There's no such thing as an off-year election. And if we conservatives want to beat the Philly machine, and that's what we're up against, is the Philly machine, it's not enough to just register more Republicans. People have to get out and vote.
Amen. With
their feet. They got to go vote. And so I had a client call me last week. He said, "Are you still talking, taking calls about stuff?" Of course I am. And so we talked a little bit. And once again, the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, was overreaching, in my humble opinion, on what he was dealing with. And when we were done talking, he said, "How can I help you next Tuesday?" And I said, "Well, you can go out and vote and bring 100,000 of your closest friends."
Well, we wish you luck. Keep slugging it out for us right to the end. We're with you. Matt Wolford, our candidate for Commonwealth Court. We appreciate you checking in.
Thanks so much, Bob. I appreciate it. And
feel free to call tomorrow if you find a spare moment.
I will.
Yeah, we're here.
I'll find a moment for this show. This is a great show.
We are here for you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
See ya.
man. We need him there for us. Matt Wolford, Commonwealth Court. Important race. Somebody's got to put a check on governments abusing citizens. That's what he will do. We'll take a break for the news. I look at my Cordaro Jewelers watch. It tells me it's 10:02. That means we got to go. We'll be back after the news with Brian Hughes with our usual Monday musings. John Perillo. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo's Jeweler Watch tells me it's 10:11 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, November 3rd, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend, our man, John Basiliga, and his great Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like William Eckroat of Wanami, Pat Colurso, Old Forge, formerly of West Scranton, and Tom Beater of Danville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, letting you know that because of our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you when the leadership of an entire political party, the Democrats, has gone insane. The establishment, the globalists, they've all gone insane. And they've got your detriment in mind. Yep. So, Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa for November 3rd. She says, if I had to start all over again, I would do the same thing. I have experienced many human weaknesses, many human frailties, and I still experience them. Well, sorry, Mother Teresa, you were superhuman, and that's why you're one of our most beloved saints. You took care of the poor and the people who needed it the most, and without any thought to your own comfort and to yourself. Amazing, amazing woman. Well, it's Monday. Now, we don't always do it, but we try to always do it. And that is to talk to John Perillo in something we call Monday Musings. And here he is, our man, John Perillo. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Bob? I'm glad you know what time it is. I'm all confused. So,
well, you got to come to Scranton, Jefferson Avenue and Spruce Street, and you go to Picardo's and get yourself a great Picardo watch.
You got it. We'll get that set up when we get out there and
That's the key.
Our next chance. So, hey, last week Bob mentioned that it was the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, and as usual, there's a bunch of misinformation out there about the status of redistricting, and there's a current Supreme Court case that we discussed a couple of weeks ago called Louisiana versus Calais, and the case is about the allegation that the change of voting districts in Louisiana intentionally disenfranchised black voters in violation of the Voting Rights Act. And we discussed back a couple of weeks ago that it's absolutely legal for states to gerrymander for political reasons, but not for racial reasons. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that today is that part of the reason for all the flurry of activity in the White House is that they know that if the Democrats gain a majority in the House, Trump becomes a lame duck immediately for the next 2 years. And beyond that, he'll likely be impeached, even if the Senate wouldn't vote to convict him. And that isn't me saying what should happen. That's me telling you what will happen if the Democrats gain control of the House. So these gerrymandering issues are getting a lot of attention regardless of where you live. This isn't just the Louisiana issue, right? So the case before the Supreme Court, there was an interesting exchange that got some attention. I mean, if you're a court watcher dork like I am, and I wanted to dig into that exchange just a little bit. And it comes from Justice Ketanji Jackson, and she used the Americans with Disabilities Act as a comparison. and there was a lot of pundits.
She's
that got
insane.
Really excited.
Now, I
Well,
thought,
hang on.
by the way, I thought she couldn't say anything dumber than her failure to answer what is a woman in her hearing.
Okay.
And she topped herself here. But go ahead.
Let's dig into that. Let's dig into that a little bit. So there was a lot of, as Bob's saying, a lot of people talking about that she was comparing blacks in Louisiana to disabled people, but she didn't really do that. She was making a legal argument that I think was wrong, but it's still an important point. Let's hear from Justice Jackson herself. She says, quote, "So going back to this discriminatory intent point, I guess I'm thinking of the fact that remedial action absent discriminatory intent is really not a new idea in civil rights law." And then she goes on to say that it is, quote, "something like the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, Congress passes the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities, so it was discriminatory in effect, and it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. So that's Justice Jackson. So she's making a comparison here. And once we get past the headline that Justice Jackson compared blacks to disabled people, which she really didn't do here, that doesn't mean that we can ignore the argument. So let's take a look at her legal analogy for a bit. Right? There are really three issues that are at stake in this Calais case, which I'm telling you is very important for the makeup of the House right now. The first is, does Congress even have the authority to order a state to redraw districts at all? Right? The Constitution gives states the authority to run elections completely, except that in Section 2 of the 15th Amendment, which is the amendment that gave blacks voting rights, there is a, quote, remedial power of Congress, which is kind of a catch-all that says, quote, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation, end quote. So that can be read in a way that allows a lot of federal intervention in elections as long as it does so to make sure that black voters aren't disenfranchised. That's kind of the purpose of the 15th Amendment. Now, that got clarified in another case called the City of Bourne versus Flores, which is typically just called Flores, and that was in 1997. And that said that the federal role in voting and the, quote, remedial powers, end quote, that we were just talking about are limited only to the passing of laws that affect voting and only if those laws affect voting violation of the 15th Amendment. So Congress can't use the fact that the 15th Amendment exists to give blacks the right to vote and their, quote, remedial powers to just willy-nilly change state voting laws, right? Their actions, Congress's actions, have to be used to remedy an issue that's covered by the 15th Amendment. So that's kind of point one, right? And Flores says that Congress can't just create laws, for instance, that, quote, will make it harder in some general sense to deny blacks the right to vote, end quote. It has to do, the laws that Congress passes have to be there to, quote, this law punishes or fixes an actual denial of the right to vote, end quote. And that's really important. So what the Supreme Court did in Flores was to say that all federal laws that want to use the 15th Amendment as a reason for existing have to remedy some specific block to minority voting. And for the case that is before the Supreme Court today, Calais, that means that a change in district in gerrymandering can only be mandated by Congress if it remedies a past actually caused the limitation of the rights of blacks to vote. Again, most of the news are ignoring that very, very important point. And that is why the court is debating whether race-based districts were intentionally designed to limit black voting or not. And as we discussed last time, if the reason for the gerrymandering is politics, not race, then the 15th Amendment doesn't apply, and neither do the remedies for the 15th Amendment. Right? The next question, is whether the power that Congress has to remedy voting rights past discrimination is limited. And that was the reason why the Supreme Court just said that race discrimination in college admissions had gone on too long. And the court in that case didn't say that Congress couldn't allow preferences for minority students, but instead what the court said was that the reason for that past legal discrimination against Asian and white students was no longer a factor. It was not, of course, as the press reported, some right-wing court moving to allow discrimination, but it was rather a very clear reading of the plain language of the 14th Amendment, right? And in a different case, as recently as 2023, Justice Kavanaugh said that the plaintiff had established that race was a factor in drawing that district. And by the way, he's certainly no right-wing nut as he's been portrayed, but he asked at the time of that ruling how long that could be the case. And he hinted back in 2023 that you couldn't use that reason forever. And that question is the very reason why this gerrymandering case is in the courts today. And the last analogy, and the one I wanted to get to, is the one that Ms. Jackson was referring to in the question of unintentional creation of race-based districts. And Jackson notes that in the Voting Rights Act does not order the creation of majority-minority districts. Even though you'll hear that said all the time on the news, even Justice Jackson says, no, that's not what it says. She gets that part absolutely correct. The amendment doesn't mention district lines at all. All it does is create a series of tests to see if a state's system discriminates. But that 1982 amendment is very clear as well that there is no, quote, intentionality test. the racial gerrymandering could be unintentional, and that's what Justice Jackson was trying to address in her question comparing the voting to the Americans with Disabilities Act, meaning that the builder of the building without the ramp didn't intentionally discriminate against the person who can't walk up the stairs, but the effect was discriminatory. So her question wasn't entirely unreasonable. But that said, her analogy
was awful.
It was wrong for a different reason, right? It's wrong because the ADA gets its power from the Commerce Clause. And basically, Congress said in the ADA that not having a ramp affects interstate commerce. Now, personally, I think that argument's absurd. But the difference between the ADA and the Voting Rights Act is that the ADA, whatever you think of its constitutionality, provides very clear guidance on what it expects. I'll give you an example. From the ADA, quote, "It shall be considered discrimination for a private entity which operates a fixed route system and which is not subject to Section 12(1)84 of this title to purchase or lease a vehicle with a seating capacity in excess of 16 seats, including the driver, for use on such a system that's not readily accessible for use by individuals with disabilities, including individuals who use a wheelchair," right? That's the ADA, right? Very specific, right? There's no judicial finding necessary to enforce that. You're either in compliance with access or you're not. Whereas the question on Calais rests with the 14th and 15th Amendments, which are clear that there has to be both a violation of black voting rights and even if it's not intentional, no other reason for that violation exists, like politics. So unlike the ADA, there's a bunch of ambiguity there. And it's possible that, as Kavanaugh says, as he said in 2023, that we're not there yet, and that there's still clear racial discrimination in the district can't be attributed to some political decision, and we likely won't find that out until the spring, by the way. And look, I know this sounds arcane, but laws have meanings, and it's one of the things Bob and I keep talking about, right? And a lot of the reporting on what you hear in the courts is really abysmal, right? Yes, justices make mistakes. Yes, they bring biases. It's extraordinarily, different for a human not to bring their own biases, right? But while I disagree with Justice Jackson, her question wasn't quite as absurd as some have said it was, and it's an important question. I just think she's wrong. And again, it's important for us today because whatever happens in this case is likely going to affect, the makeup of Congress going forward. So I hope that was helpful to clarify that. And I know there's a lot of other stuff going on, but sometimes we have to dig down a little bit into the law and figure out how it affects it.
And we'll find out what happens in California because they're determining whether they're going to blow up their redistricting system in order to put more Democrats in. It'll be fascinating because that's going to wind its way through the courts if it passes. John Perillo, thank you, my man. We appreciate it.
You got it.
All right. We'll talk to you next Monday.
You got it.
All right.
Take care, Bob, and to your listeners, have a great week, and thank you again for your time.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Elvis. Murph tells us his date, 1962. He moved from number 20 to number 10 with his hit Return to Sender. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Let's go right to the phones. Joe from Berwick, you've been patient. Hi, Joe.
Hello, Bob. Thanks for having me on. So here's the reason why I called, Bob, because I'm very passionate as well. I would say very upset about some things I'm reading. Now, I'm not going to ascribe to people certain things I see on Facebook because anybody can post anything on Facebook. But you and I both know that what the Democrat Party and their followers have been spouting for years and are spouting now is the nonsense of such things as, Trump's ballroom and he's dancing away great Gatsby party style while people are starving off food stamps and stuff. And I want to address this specifically because this is again goes to the heart of what we're voting for and who these people are and what they believe. I specifically am helping out a family that is really being affected right now by this whole food stamp thing. Now, I say I, not because I'm tooting my own horn, but because technically it's through my church. But since this young man was in my youth group since the age of 6 and he's now 18, that it's me. Okay, the church hands it off to me because I know the circumstance. So I'm personally involved in getting these people what they need just to have something to eat because, mostly when people don't like to hear this, it's mostly because of his mother and all the opportunities she's had through any help she's gotten through most of her life and how she handles resources that she gets, which is very poorly. And there's a great fear that that's what this young man is learning. And we don't want to see him fall into that kind of lifestyle because, like I talk to him all the time. I said, do you want to live like this or do you want to do better? Well, again, when I hear these stupid comments that, people are saying about how, Trump's ballroom or because they're millionaires who have, all this money in the bank, why don't you do something about these starving kids? Well, I'm saying this as somebody who's doing something about one of these hungry kids. This is nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about, and this is what they do all the time. They bring in these pithy little sayings and this absurd reasoning that one thing has nothing to do with another, and they really don't deal with the issue at hand. But they always set up these straw man arguments,
Yep.
and there's always some rich man who's responsible for everybody being poor, and it's just absurd. And I'm challenging it because it's nonsense, and I have a right to challenge it because I'm directly involved in it.
All right. Well, thank you always, Joe. We appreciate it. Keep fighting. Keep helping people. I mean, see, the government is not supposed to help people. We are. Period. So thank you for doing that. Joe, we got to go. We're way over, man. But thank you so much. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga, featuring today just one of his great companies, his first, Eastern Roofing Systems, the premier industrial, commercial, and institutional roofer in the eastern United States. And guess what? They bring all that expertise to bear on your home, your small building here in Northeast Pennsylvania, because they're headquartered right here in Jessup. Orazio Pat Pasquale Colurso. He was 84 when he passed away October 22nd. He was from Old Forge, formerly of West Scranton. He and his wife, Charlotte, celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary this past May. He was born in Scranton, a graduate of West Scranton High School, class of 1959. He was a proud veteran of the Army, serving us in Vietnam. Pat was of the Roman Catholic faith, and his life was characterized by his faith and unabated love for his family, which he adored and generously shared his joy for living. He worked for 26 years as a produce manager for Giant Foods, and then with his wife, he started their own business in West Scranton, the Deli on Luzerne, for 38 years. He retired from that business in 2020 at the end of the year. Pat will always be remembered as a devoted husband, father, grandfather, a kind man with a quick wit and a smiling sense of humor. In addition to his wife, Charlotte, he leaves behind loving children and their spouses, 4 grandchildren, and many other family members. Orazio Pat Pasquale Colurso, our veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower. It'll get to about 60, 55 outside the studios as I speak. Tonight, partly cloudy, 42. Tuesday, partly sunny and breezy, 57. Wednesday, morning sun, then cloudy with a chance of scattered showers, but it'll get up to 60. So a good start to November. Yesterday was gorgeous out. It really was. Now, we heard the commercial from Tom Mosca, who's running for judge in Luzerne County, and here he is, the actual Tom Mosca, not on tape. He's live. How are you, Tom?
I am live, and I'm doing well. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me on.
Good. What's your final note and message to the voters of Luzerne County as you run for judge?
Well, we've been out knocking on doors everywhere from Pittston to Hazleton and every other place in between that I can get to. Luzerne County is a big place.
Yes.
I'll just sum up by saying I've been practicing law for 35 years, in and out of the courtroom. I've been given an AV preeminent rating by the Martindale-Hubbell Rating Service. That's the gold standard for rating lawyers, and that's their highest possible rating for both legal ability and ethical standards. I've got a solid legal background, which is important, of course, but that's not enough. I think to be an effective judge, you also have to have relevant life experience. And I have a proven track record of service to the community, both as a community volunteer and a volunteer in my church. I've held numerous leadership positions. I've been an advocate for victims' rights. I'm the chair of the Victims Resource Center, and for the past 9 years, I've been the co-chair of the NEPA Task Force Against Human Trafficking. So I've spent the time and I've given of myself to my community. And last but not least, especially since this is going to be at least in part a family law position, my family is important. My wife, Andrea, and I have been married for the past 37 years. We raised our 2 daughters, Hillary and Tori, here in Luzerne County. We have 2 grandchildren, Sebastian and Vivian. That's all important. To be able to rule appropriately on matters that come before the family court, it's certainly helpful to have relevant experience in having raised children and raised a family. And last but not least, again, I want to remind Republicans that we have a majority of about 7,000 voters at this point. But if people don't get out and vote, that's not going to mean anything. We need people to get out and vote tomorrow. Call your relatives, your neighbors, your friends. If they need a ride to the polls, give them a ride. Everybody needs to get out and vote. If they get out and vote, we will do well.
Well, thank you, Tom Mosca. Best wishes. Stay safe and strong on the campaign trail, my friend.
Thank you, Bob. Take care.
All right, thank you. Hey, we've got John Cordaro from, and not Cordaro, they spell it differently, south of the border in Luzerne County.
Good morning, Bob.
But I think we're paisans and cousins anyway, John.
I think we might be somewhere down the line.
Yes,
but
yes.
I think we both have a little energy that trickled out from Rush Limbaugh when he went to heaven. I think he left a little bit of that common sense behind for us to use.
Yeah, he certainly gave us a lot to think about, right?
Listen, Bob, I'm going to be brief, but I'm John Cordaro. I'm running for mayor in Luzerne, and you know what? I'm telling people. It's not so much a Republican-Democrat thing. It's a common sense versus stupidity. I mean, I in the primary, I got almost 70 write-in votes from Democrats that came from the other side because they liked what was in the letter. I went to 1,000 houses in Luzerne Borough, and I'm proud to say in this time when there's the United States Congress is getting a paycheck while the government shut down, I'm voluntarily going to donate 100% of my mayor's salary to the Luzerne Police Department if I'm elected. And I'm retired on a Social Security income. I'm not rich, but I got to tell you something. Somebody's got to give back. Everybody's taking and going to jail and stealing. And you know something? Somebody's got to, I'm not showing off. It's a gesture. But the main reason I'm running is because we have some deficiencies in Luzerne. There's a lot of problems with speeding. We have a situation where there's a backroom cooperation deal between Courtdale and Luzerne, and I'm not against cooperation with police departments, but they never put it in writing. They did a deal, like a handshake deal, and I said, why don't you put the specs on the table? I mean, it's going to affect the insurance riders between these two towns if we have an incident. And I'm all for cooperation between police departments, but let's put something on the table where it's in writing and it's a formal agreement. I mean, you can't do that. And you know what? We have a situation where people hardly go to the council meetings because when they go, the Luzerne Borough Council will say, well, we'll look into it. Then they kick it down, they table it down the road. It never gets done. And if I am elected mayor of Luzerne, I want something that no other mayor is doing in Luzerne County. Besides the council meetings, I want one night that's just going to be a mayor's night that only pertains to police issues and crime. People, you got to get these people interested. You got a good person like Tom Mosca running for judge. This man is highly qualified. You got Walter Griffith. And if we don't get out to vote tomorrow, I don't want anybody to complain about anything because you have an opportunity to be there. If our troops could show up to protect our country, we should damn well show up to vote tomorrow. That's the least we can do.
Amen. John Cordaro running for mayor of Luzerne. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Tony Amico. He's running for mayor of Troop. How are you, Tony?
Good morning, Bob. Thank you for taking my call. Looking forward for tomorrow.
And you actually have the candidate you defeated running a write-in against you. This is crazy.
Yes,
so it's a campaign. It matters if people come out and vote.
I've showed the man respect throughout, and I continue to do so. And if he, so wishes to run as a write-in campaign, that's his business. I'm fine with it. I'm just looking forward to getting on with tomorrow and hopefully a victory and become the next mayor of Troop Borough.
Well, Tony, in these races, because I'm talking to statewide candidates too, and I'm like, what do you even do on the last day of an election? But for you, because these races can be determined by one or two votes, you got to keep campaigning. You have to keep campaigning.
Yeah, I went out on the walk over the weekend and met up with some wonderful individuals throughout the borough. I didn't run into any negativity where my campaign is concerned, and so that was a good feeling.
Good.
And come tomorrow, I'll continue from there. I want to be a strong representative of the borough. I want to be a respectable liaison between the police department and council. And I have quite a few ideas for the borough once I'm in that position. looking forward to it.
Well, excited. My old hometown, Troop. We need Tony Amico as mayor. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very
All
much.
right, my friend. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Murph tells us the Stones, they had the number 2 hit this date, 1973, with Angie. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. And we were bragging about our incumbent controller, Walter Griffith, earlier in the program. And here he is. He's running for re-election. How are you, Walter?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Great to be on the show. You have a fabulous show in the morning. I enjoy it very much.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to call in. You're welcome. I just wanted to call in and say how important the re-election to the county controller's office is for my position. In that, in the past 3.5 years, I was able to get all the tax collectors audited, which has never been done in the county. And we found a couple of them along the way that were having some issues. We found one that particularly that was brought up on federal charges, as you recognized in the paper a couple of months ago, and that was part and parcel of the information that I shared with the law enforcement agency. So the job of the controller's office is critical in our area, in our county, because we have no other elected official in our county other than the county council, and there is nobody who can share information with those county council members independently than the controller, because everybody else works for the manager, and the manager is hired by the county council. So it's really important that we have a controller that works hand in hand with the administration and the council without being and also maintaining independence. So there's no favoritism played. So when I see, as you know, when I see things that are a little bit off the radar, I always bring it up. And I think it's very important for the people. So I represent three things. I represent the people mostly, but I also represent the manager, and I also represent the county council. So the county controller's office is very, very, very important to maintain independence and the institutional knowledge that I bring as well. So I think that's why I need to get another term. I have a lot more work to do. We have more audits that need to be done. Basically, the controller's office is an auditing agency. We don't have the power of the accounts payables anymore, and we don't have the power that we used to have in state county code. But we do have the power to have unrestricted access to everything in the county, which is really good for the people. So if I don't get elected, the people may not have the transparency that they deserve in Luzerne County. And that's really, really important, especially with our type of government where the manager is hired by the council. So it's very important that I be retained and reelected this year.
Well, Walter Griffith, we love you. We wish you best luck and keep campaigning right to the end, all right?
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. Walter Griffith, our candidate for controller. And let's go without further ado to Clive from Mountaintop. Clive, we got about a minute, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. I'm not running for office. I had my day in the sun. I was tax collector one term and township supervisor one term. But if Walter Griffith doesn't win and the Democrats take control of county council, we're in big, big trouble in this county.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of faith in the electorate, but we'll see what happens. But anyhow, wanted to talk quickly about the SNAP program. I had no idea that 1 in 8 Americans was on food stamps receiving SNAP benefits. And as a taxpayer, I have a real problem with that. And the reason I do, I've seen the abuses, especially at these small Unimart, Mini-Mart places, small grocery stores, mostly run by foreign nationals, where people use the food stamps to buy beer, cigarettes, wine, and scratch-offs. And apparently there's no enforcement to it. And besides, I don't think the Founding Fathers had this in mind, that the government was going to give people money to buy food. It smacks of socialism for me, and it's a real mess. And I really can't wrap my head around all the polling that blames the Republicans for this shutdown. I just can't
That is
comprehend
astonishing.
it.
You're right.
It is.
It is so obvious what it is, and that the Democrats are lying about it in the Senate, and their other spokespersons. We played a montage earlier today. I mean, it's just I don't know. so many people seem to want it. Just they don't want the truth. They don't want fact. They don't want reality. They want what they want to believe. That's all they do. Scary.
Well, you summed it up very succinctly. And Democrats are going to have a good day tomorrow. They're going to win the governorship in Virginia, the mayor of New York City, and probably New Jersey, although Jack Ciattarelli has a chance. The wind is in his face. But these are two solid blue states and a solid blue city. Mm-hmm. What would you expect otherwise? So we'll see what happens there. But it's very, very disappointing, especially this polling blaming the Republicans. Some polls 2-1. And people just don't seem to get it.
I know. Well, the Republicans and the conservatives, just as importantly, need to get out and vote. Thank you, Clive. Appreciate it so much.
Sure.
All right, my
friend.
Bob. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. It is time for the news because my Picardo Jewelers watch says it's 11:01 and change. We'll be back after Brian Hughes. We got our man Chet Parlavecchio. We're going to do a little football weekend wrap-up with Chet after we do the news. And a big part of the war is voting tomorrow. People of common sense. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:10 and change here in the great Northeast this beautiful Monday, November 3, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day. Every day is to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our friend John Basiliga and just one of his great companies, Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Orazio, Pat Calurso, Old Forge, West Scranton, William Eckroat, Wanami, and Thomas Biter, Danville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for all as we navigate the rest of this morning, because these people that you're wondering, are they a little touched? Yeah, they're insane. I promise you, you're right. Your instincts are 100% on. Hey, hopefully we'll be talking with Mark Payne, Scranton City Council candidate, a little bit later. He's just a great guy. He's a solid guy, and he deserves to be on that council. He just deserves to be on that council. Well, it is Monday. So what do we do on Mondays? We do a lot of things, but one of the things we do is this Dancing with the Stars veteran, this NFL football coach, this NFL football player, this Penn State star, this New Jersey Hall of Fame coach. Yeah, we call on Chet Parlavecchio to find out what he saw and what he likes in college and NFL football. Chester, my man, how are you?
What's up, Bobby? Dancing with the Stars veteran.
You did it. So you're a veteran. Yeah.
I'm a veteran. Yeah. Hey, how's everything going, my friend?
Everything's great. Tell me now, what happened over the weekend that caught your attention? We'll start with college.
All right, we'll start with college. Well, obviously, you watch Penn State gave a valiant effort for a half. I mean, they went out and they played. They didn't lay down, which shows a lot of character. It shows the resilience of the kids. But, one thing that, obvious happens, talent takes over. And right now, Ohio State obviously has superior talent, and they established the line of scrimmage. Our inability to run, I mean, Katron Allen and the other kid, they must want to jump off a cliff right now because, I mean, you're talking about you had the best 1-2 running back combination arguably in the country, and they just can't get going. They just can't win the line of scrimmage and can't get going. So, obviously, it's been a tough year for them. The kids showed resiliency for a half. They played in there tough. They didn't go in there and lay down. I'm sure they'll finish the season the rest of the way, and then the work has to be done. So,
well, Chester, here's a question I had. Have you ever seen, at least from, I mean, they were number 2 in the country before the season started. Now their coach is gone, who recently signed an extension, all that. Have you ever seen a collapse like this?
No, you know something, Bobby, but I have a feeling that's going to be the trend in college football. You're going to see drastic actions like this because of the ability to fix problems quicker. Again, like we've discussed in the past with the portal and the NIL money, they're not going to prolong things and wait things out like they used to. I think they're going to move quick. Because if you move quick, get new people in there quick, they get their idea of what they need to do to make things better, and they're able to act on it much quicker and build things quicker. Now, are they short-term fixes? Yeah, in some respects. Look at Colorado. That was a one-year deal. You had his son. You had the other kid in Jacksonville, that the Heisman Trophy winner that had a great lineup there, and now things settle in. Those portal guys are gone, and now you see mediocrity to below mediocrity in Colorado. But the ability to fix things quicker, I think, will make schools act quicker. And that might be a trend. Obviously, we saw it with Kelly. These things might, continue to go. So it'll be something to watch for sure. Yeah. But I'd tell you what, you talk about the volatility of of the top 25 and the way things move. And I don't know whether you call it parity or mediocrity. The jury's still out on that. But with pretty much 3 weeks to go, I thought it was interesting. I'm looking because now the picture of the tournament is starting to take form. You know, you're looking for the top 12, see who's going to be in there. And it's interesting to me, we're getting into that discussion about teams with 2 losses. And now, once again, that's to me where strength of schedule becomes paramount. And one thing that was very interesting to me, and you know I'm on my little soap opera with Notre Dame. Notre Dame has 2 losses. They lost to Miami and Texas A&M. Now, what's happening is the Miami loss, after them losing a second time now to SMU, is not looking like a very good loss like it did early in the year. It's looking like Miami isn't what we thought they were. So you have one questionable loss, and the loss to A&M. They've been solid throughout the year. I don't think we have a argument with the top 6 to 8 teams that are up there now. But here's going to be your argument. You look at teams like Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, who just lost a brawl to Texas, Missouri. They all have 2 losses, and they play in a much superior league than Notre Dame does. As a matter of fact, as we all know, Notre Dame doesn't play in a league at all. So now, very arguably, a lot of those teams are going to have 3 losses because they're going to play in conference championships, whether it be SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and Notre Dame won't play in one, so they avoid that. Their remaining games, they have Navy, Stanford, and Pitt. The only team that'll even hit back is Pitt. And that's a 7-win team, but it's an ACC 7.
Oh, my guy John Perillo would argue that Navy's the best team in the country now.
Well, we're going to they're going to get a chance. Like I said, if
He's
Notre
an
Dame,
Academy
it wouldn't shock me if Navy hung around.
Yeah.
Would not shock me if Navy hung around. Hold it, Boston College just hung around. Boston College played the hell out of Notre Dame this weekend. They had 400 and something yards in offense. So it wasn't like, Notre Dame came in there and blew BC out. Coach O'Brien does a great job down there. So it's going to be interesting in the college, in the college sector, in the college way of thinking, how they're going to judge these 2 lost teams. They've already moved. Vanderbilt loses to Texas, a great, real good Texas team. They all of a sudden drop below Notre Dame. Oklahoma dropped below Notre Dame. Texas is. So my point is, we did the annual love affair with Notre Dame. We give them their hired spot, and then we're going to see what 2 losses do to teams on the way down, because there's going to be a lot of debate. You open this up to 12 teams now, you could bet they're going to be fighting for those spots, I would say 8 through 12. And you're going to have a lot of good arguments for all those spots. It'll be interesting to see.
Chet Parlavecchio, let's go to the NFL. What did you see? What did you like?
Well, again, we're halfway through the year, and I think what has to be done, again, with the Jets and Philadelphia having bye weeks, we look at our locals. I mean, Pittsburgh played as good a football game as I've seen the Steelers play in a long time. Defensively, they look like the old Steelers. They had, 4 or 5 sacks, turnover. Watt was pressuring all day long. They did a great job in the secondary. I thought they did a great job against maybe one of the best offensive football teams, highest scoring team in the league. They shut them down. They did a great job. Indy made a run late, but, I thought Pittsburgh was the better team. And, again, our boy Rodgers, just efficient as hell, just efficient. I just would like to see the Steelers get running the football. They just can't seem to get running the football. You look at the Giants, again, Jackson Dart is developing. He's a tough kid. He's not in awe of the moment. He did some real good things against San Francisco, but San Francisco just has too much right now. The Giants defensively have injuries all over the place, and it's just going to play out the string.
That Scadaboo loss is a big deal, too, I think.
That's huge. I mean, it's a big loss. But, again, it's a big loss, but it's not determining the season. I mean, he's a rookie that played 6 games. I mean, let's not get crazy here. All right,
but he brought some spirit to the team, though.
Exactly. He brought some enthusiasm. He's a character. It's great stuff to see him and Dart. But let's not pretend it's a difference maker. Like if he's there, we win. We're not there yet. In time, it might become that, but not that. So. But I said the interesting thing to do at the end here this week is let's look at we're literally at around the halfway mark and look at the power structure and what looks like a playoff picture on each side. In the NFC, it stayed pretty stable. I mean, San Francisco, Philadelphia, the Rams, Seattle, which, by the way, Darnold looks incredible. He's definitely an MVP candidate. Again, Mac Jones in San Francisco is doing a great job in Purdy, and then Stafford's just solid as could be, and Philadelphia's Philadelphia. The only surprises in the playoff picture in the NFC would be, I think, Washington. I mean, Washington right now looks like they're in a lot of trouble, and with whatchamacall going down yesterday, Daniel going down, it's going to be tough for them to make hay.
Well, you also have Detroit shocked me.
Well, again, a lot of penalties yesterday. They had real problem in their protections. I haven't seen him get pressured like that in a long time. I listened to the post game. Coach Campbell was not real happy the way they looked. He a lot of mental mistakes. That's something that they've got to clean up. And again, I think they will. Kind of with the metal that he's made out of in Minnesota. Hey, McCarthy looked good. Let's give Minnesota a little credit on the other side. J.J. McCarthy came out and did a nice job. So, again, a good win for Minnesota. But you can see the power structure there is, the way the index there is pretty stable the way it's always been. Again, Washington and Minnesota will be the only guys on the outside looking in that I question. The AFC, you literally have a change of the power base there. You had the years of Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Houston. They were, again, perennial playoff teams. They're on the outside looking in right now. They're on the outside looking in. You've got Kansas City who will be solid. Don't get me wrong. They're going to get in. But as of today, after that loss last night to Buffalo, they're on the outside looking in. And I do believe Baltimore will get in. Their schedule is friendly. With Lamar back, they have time. They will get in. Cincinnati, again, look at Joe Flacco. What a great – again, second week in a row you've scored 35 points and lost the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how inept they are defensively. That's not going to go away, and Cincinnati will end up on the outside looking in. And bad loss by Houston yesterday. So, but if you look at the teams that that are in the lead right now, Jacksonville, Denver, New England. I mean, New England's the story of the year so far. Them and Indianapolis are the story of the year. Again, yesterday. Drake May doesn't play a great game. He's a little careless with the football in the pocket, throws a pick. But you know something, Bobby? He's a winner. The kid knows how to win. He's a tough heart. He reminds me of a young Baker Mayfield. Young, tough kid that knows how to win. Denver defensively just plays great defense because offensively, you better. They're like they're like taking NyQuil. You just doze off and whatever happens, happens. Indy had a rough night yesterday, but they're solid. Daniel Jones is doing a great job. They're going to be solid all the rest of the way through. In Jacksonville, the inconsistency of Lawrence, shocks me. But again, they, big win yesterday, got an overtime win with the Raiders, and they're right in the meat of it. So in the AFC, things have changed a little bit. It's going to be interesting down the stretch here. See who gathers themselves, who takes care of injuries, what happens in the battle of attrition in the NFL. And like I said, at the halfway mark, there's a good playoff picture there. We see where the power structure lies, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, our man Chet Parlavecchio with our football wrap-up. Thank you, Chester. Always love it.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
We look forward to next week, man. Have a good one.
You too, Bobby.
All
Take
right.
care, bro.
Vote for Chitterelli out there, would you? He heard me. I'm going to text him to tell him vote for Chitterelli for governor. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our sponsors. A little music, a little history. We got Mark Payne, Scranton City Council candidate, on the other side. We played that for Cutie. Murph tells us, though, this date, 1975, Barry Manilow released his hit, I Write the Songs. I don't think he wrote it. And, of course, before that, the ever long-winded Bill Clinton is elected 42nd President of the United States. I thought H.W. was the man, but unfortunately we got Clinton and we got Hillary after that. So there's been a long hangover from the Clintons. Well, a guy that we need to get in office is Mark Payne. He's running for Scranton City Council. Mark, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Hey, Bob. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, what occupies you on this last day of campaigning?
Oh, my God, it's crazy. I mean, we're trying to get all our poll workers together, get all our paperwork together for everybody, the handouts, that kind of thing, just making sure everybody's in the spots that we need them to be in. And I mean, tomorrow's a huge election. We need everybody to actually come out and vote. I mean, especially the Republicans, for some reason, and turnout's been really low for municipal elections. And, people got to realize that it grows from inside out. It's nice to look at the big picture, on the national side and say, okay, we did our job and we got what we need. No, we do not. We need to change things here. It'll be easier on the big elections if we start working better and controlling our city, our towns, our neighborhoods. And that's where it has to start. We need people to get out and vote.
Well, I got to tell you, on behalf of a lot of people, a lot of Scrantonians, fellow Scrantonians, we're just so happy that you decided to run again, because we just need, no matter who the mayor is, even if it's my guy, even if it's Gene Barrett, we need council people who will watch and notice things and bring things to everybody's attention, and you're the guy to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'll work with anybody, whoever wins. I mean, I like Gene. I like Trish. I do not dislike Paige. I mean, no matter who wins, I'll work with them. And that's what the important part is. No matter who the mayor is in our city, we need council that's supposed to be there fighting for us, to be our watchdog of whatever administration's in there and trying to pass, just not a rubber stamp. I mean, it's easy to vote no when you know that, your colleagues are all going to vote yes. So it's easy to take that stand. But, as a council person that's fighting for the people, you need to fight. You need to talk those people into, no, this is, you're voting wrong. You need to do this way. And for what reasons? And, stick up for the people.
And Paige Cognetti has had 3 blind mice following her. Smurl's running for re-election on a write-in. She's had 3 blind mice helping her bring this city to its knees.
Oh, basically, yeah. And I mean, you can tell when you're talking to them or watching city council that they already made their mind up when they bring things out.
Yeah.
And as well like Smurl did with this last vote for the walkability that they're doing downtown. And he said before everybody else was in there to talk about it that he was going to vote for it, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. Listen to your constituents.
Mark Payne, did you think we needed to spend $30 million to be able to better walk around Scranton? I walk around Scranton all the time. I don't think they need $30 million. That's insane.
No, if we're spending that kind of money, I mean, downtown, thank God we have a lot of great developers in our city. And these guys have built our city up downtown. It's wonderful. It looks great. I think it's fine. If we're spending $30 million, we need to put it into our neighborhoods. Walk around our neighborhoods. Like, the last 9 months, knocking doors and talking with people in different sections of the city, whether it was East Scranton, North Scranton, West Side, Center City, wherever. The neighborhoods are a catastrophe, and they're all complaining. They all complain of either the blight or the homelessness or whatever's going on in their city. We need to put that money into our neighborhoods, and that'll build a stronger community.
Amen. Well, Mark Payne, stay safe and strong on the campaign trail. Keep plugging for us. We need you, brother.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. And absolutely, just remind everybody, it's important. We've got to get out to vote tomorrow, no matter what it is. Call us. We're providing rides. We're doing whatever we have to do to get you to the polls.
Amen. Mark Payne,
Right.
Scranton City Council. We'll take a break and be back with the Veterans Tribute after this. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, featuring his first company and his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems, based in Jessup. They're one of the premier industrial, institutional, commercial roofers in the eastern United States. And they bring all that expertise to bear on your home's roof, your small building's roof, because they're based in Jessup. When we go to the great Bloomsburg American Legion, they've got a stone that says, "What is a veteran?" I'll add a little bit to it. It says a veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor. Amen. Thomas Biter, Army veteran, retailer, enjoyed playing Uno He was 86 when we lost him October 27th. He was from Danville. Born in Williamsport, graduate of St. Mary's High School in that city. He served this country with honor in the United States Army. He married the love of his life, Letitia Williams Biter, for 34 years. They were married back in 1990. Tom was a dedicated, self-employed retailer, opening Biter's department store in 1977. His infectious laugh, warm personality illuminated every room he entered. He was known for his humble demeanor and selfless spirit. He found joy of handing out popcorn for the children of Liberty Valley Elementary School, a simple gesture that brought smiles to their faces. He had a special gift for seeing the beauty in little things and shared that joy with everyone around him. He was a respected leader in the Danville community, serving on a number of boards. With a remarkable zest for life, he loved playing cards. He was a longtime parishioner of St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Danville, surviving in addition to his wife. He was a father and a stepfather. He's also survived by 21 grandchildren, 24 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandson. We had a great gang he put together and a great legacy. Thomas Biter, Danville. Our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower, high 60. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 42. Tuesday, partly sunny and breezy, 57. Wednesday, morning sun, then cloudy with a chance of scattered showers, 60 degrees. Sweet. Murph says this date 75. They released their hit Fox on the Run in the U.S. Been in touch with my friends in Jersey, including our man Chester. They got high hopes for Chitterelli. And, well, maybe that's why they're my friends. They all voted for Chitterelli. Somebody says, the crime at my address is up 500% in Scranton. Those are my statistics. I've had my car broken into 3 times, things stolen off the porch twice in the last 2 years. Can't get my streetlight replaced for 3 years, and I called at least 20 times. Sorry. Look, that's our plight. Now, she's incompetent when she's there, or at least pretending to be full-time mayor. When she leaves us to run for Congress full-time, it's going to get worse. Bob LTS, retired guy here. Tell me, how do you fight it when a good number of voters just pull the lever that says Democrat because they always have? A lot of them know nothing about the candidates, just the party. How do you fight that? Well, we try to educate them here. And I'll support Democrats that are good. I'm supporting a registered Democrat running independent in Gene Barrett. proudly so. Somebody texted him, the bike lanes Paige Cognetti promotes and wants will destroy not only the city of Scranton, but also the many municipalities next to Scranton, including Dunmore, Taylor, Dixon City. The congestion will reach out to Interstate 81 all the way back to the airport and beyond. These bike lanes must not be implemented. Case closed. Well, no less an expert than former city engineer John Pochis went and said this is not a good idea. I don't think it's, the end of the world's not going to come, but $30 million that could be used elsewhere and desperately needs to be used elsewhere. And here we are with a fantasy by Mayor Cognetti to be friends with all her left-wing buddies. It's crazy. One of our great listeners texted, Bob, can we give a plug to Anthony Smith for mayor of Forty Fort? A veteran, a police officer, and a friend with lots of integrity. Well, we just did. Good luck to you, Anthony Smith. Somebody says, I don't call the police anymore. Well, same person. I don't call the police anymore because they probably have enough to do. Crime has spiked big time under this mayor. And instead of answering the question and say, here's what I'm going to do about it, Mayor Cognetti says, oh, well, we invested in technology. Well, it ain't doing us any good. It's all the nonsense. All the nonsense. And we can't do it. We really can't do it. Harry from Dunmore surprises Senator Fetterman, who's been actually telling the truth. Oh, Lord. Somebody points out Marty Flynn is backing bike lanes. What? I never heard that. My God. That's frightening. Marty, you got enough problems without that. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's do so. Let's hear from our great sponsors. We heard from a lot of great candidates today, which is good. But let's take our break now and come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Eagles. Murph says they moved up to number 2 with that great song. Heartache Tonight, this date, 1979. And we're going to finish with Whitney Houston because on November 3rd, 1992, she released her hit single, I Will Always Love You, and still a beautiful song. We've been bragging about Maria Batista for months. And we are hoping, praying, and voting to make sure that that happens and that she's our next Superior Court judge. And here she is, Maria Batista. Maria, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
It's great to be back, and I know you're ending here in a few minutes. I just want to thank you for having me on your show a few times for this incredibly important election tomorrow. Running for Superior Court has been a great honor, and I appreciate your support and that of your listeners.
How do you feel? How are you feeling? You've hit all these counties, and the state is incredibly huge. How are you feeling? What vibes are you getting?
Everything has been incredibly positive. This morning I left Harrisburg and I went to Clearfield County. I'm just in Jefferson County now, leaving, and I'm going to hit my own county, and then I'm driving back to Harrisburg. And I'm telling you, no matter where I go, people have some excitement. They want to help. They want to get out the vote. They know how important these judicial races are, and certainly this seat on the Superior Court that I'm running for is very, very important. It is the people's court.
No, it's important we get you elected. Maria, we're going to do our best. We're going to be rooting for you. We're going to be telling everybody about you. You're the most qualified. You've been through the test of a primary and a statewide election previously. I think this is your time, Maria Batista. I certainly hope so.
Well, I feel very blessed to have this opportunity again, and if any indication of the positivity and their prayers that I'm getting text every day, I have prayer warriors across this incredible Commonwealth. Nice. I know that we're going to be successful tomorrow, and ultimately, it's in God's in control at 8 p.m. Amen. So let's just keep the prayers coming.
Maria Batista, our candidate for Superior Court, thank you, and please keep plugging, and feel free to call tomorrow as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Maria Batista, our candidate for Superior Court. Well, as Whitney wraps it up for us, we just want to mention our veterans who were brought to you by our guy, John Basiliga. And they include William Eckroat of Wanami, Orazio Pat Calurso, Old Forge, West Scranton, and Thomas Biter, Danville. We're losing too many, man. We're losing too many. Hey, remember, Batista, Wolford. Batista, Superior Court, Wolford, Commonwealth Court. Also, remember to vote no on these Supreme Court candidates. Remember to vote no. I don't know about the Superior Court candidates, to be honest. But Supreme Court is easy. They are awful. They are partisan. They are not judges. They are politicians in robes. And that's all they are. Believe me. Somebody says if you Google Marty Flynn and bike lanes, it'll pop up. Well, how the hell did he get into all this? Bike lanes. My God. Marty, wake up. Oh, and we got judges that I want you to vote for. Like in Lackawanna County, Mark Powell and Andy Jarbola for retention. We got good judges. The Supreme Court, though, is a nightmare. And we've got to get rid of them. Have to. It's very important. Well, as we head to the top of the hour, we'll remind you that the Sue Henry Show is next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. And God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning to do this all again on Election Day to remind you to vote. Make your plan to vote now and get it done tomorrow. Okay? Just do everybody, including yourself, that favor if you're a common sense conservative. All right? Well, my Picardo jeweler watch tells me we are running fast up to noon, which means I'm done. If I didn't already say it, God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow at 9. But for now, we must gather to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon, guys.